What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, the rest of the world? You found us again. You could do a million other things in the world, but you decided to tune into us. So we appreciate you. This is our newest installment of the Good Karma Group's weekly updates slash safety meeting, smoke sesh. So we'll go ahead and get to it and get to our panel. Hopefully everybody's doing good. We got a brand new year, 2024, year of the beast mode. So hopefully everybody had a great and enjoyable holidays. You guys all made it out safe, and you're here with both eyes and ears to be able to hear what's going down. So let's go ahead and without further ado, I'll go ahead and talk about my co-host. You guys know him. He's been a while. He's been MIA from the show for a little bit, y'all. But I'm happy to have him back. He can talk about his trips and where he's been to the last couple weeks. But this is a guy that is a legend in many aspects, an expert in a couple of them, I would say. One of them is going to be talking about what he did for his new year, and we'll bring him onto the stage.
What up, everybody? Happy to be here. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate the great intro. Yeah, it's been a great holiday season, man. I hope you had a good one, and everyone out there listening had a great holiday season, and Happy New Year. I mean, beast mode year, like Zach said, year 2024. Also Kobe in there. We got some good motivation. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How we doing? Uh-oh. Let's get a little more audio on here. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, big dog. Technical difficulties. Sorry, people.
Yo, Zach, I think you're on mute, homie. Can't hear you, homie.
Zach, can you hear? Steve, you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah, we just can't hear Zach.
Gotcha. Something's going on with Zach. I will continue as if the people can hear me, and I think they can. Steve, welcome to the show. I was just wishing everybody a happy new year. Our motto, beast mode year, it's Kobe year. We got a lot of good motivation going into 2024 outside of our favorite sports character.
There we go.
I can hear you. There you go.
Good. Here we go. We're back.
We couldn't hear you.
Like all we never left.
Well, I might as well go ahead and continue on with bringing the rest of the folks on because I couldn't hear shit.
Let's do it.
All right, but then we'll get back to you, Sean and Steve. I see you, brother. What's going down? So we'll bring on our next brother to the show. You guys saw him, and I tell you what, guys. After the last time he was on, broke record numbers. You guys love him. You guys love to hear his takes. Apparently, that Dusty Baker story that he told the last time was some of the funniest stuff that we've ever heard. But happy to have him come back on, especially after that Monday night game. True sports fans, man, they got to have some heart. And sometimes I know if my team loses, I ain't trying to talk to nobody, man, especially if that team beat me or their fans beat me. But he's back for some more. We love his outtakes. We love his views. Let's go ahead and bring him on, our good brother Kyle.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me back on. I had such a blast last time. I couldn't wait for my second appearance on the podcast.
Welcome, Kyle. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome, brother. Welcome.
And if I, as a Philadelphia sports fan of 36 years, if I didn't talk to people after every loss, I probably wouldn't have a single conversation with anybody because we've only won about 2 times in my whole lifetime. So, I have to be able to shake things off quickly, readjust, and, it's just all part of being a sports fan.
Go.
Man, I appreciate it, bro. I tell you what, man, that was it ain't over yet. You guys are still in the playoffs, so
It ain't over.
You still got some options.
Well, I got my D coordinator headset on because
I see that.
I might have to step in for Matt Patricia because that guy doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, and we could maybe even break down some of the key mistakes that epic loser makes every time he gets a chance to make a decision.
We will. I got one more to bring on. I think if he's look like he's on the road, but we got a new guest. We got a new partner to the show. You guys will start to see him more regularly as well too. I got to give this guy a great introduction. This is a fella that's a good friend of mine, a absolute legend of, I would say, of a lot of things. One, hash. You know, if he wants to talk anything about hash, this is a guy that's going to be an expert about it. Anything cannabis related. Um, Alternatively, this is a guy that is also a freaking just an encyclopedia Britannica for sports and just other random trivia things that, yeah, he probably shouldn't just even know about. So, a good introduction. I think this is his first YouTube appearance. So we're gonna go ahead and pop his cherry for our good friend Matthew. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And Kyle, at least you're not a Raiders fan like Zach and I.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have it a little worse, my friend.
Good to see you, Matt.
Hey, likewise. I'm still waiting for that phone call, Kyle.
Oh, I didn't know you were on the podcast. We should just knock it out right now.
Yeah,
Make these people wait.
Oh, man.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Well, I think we're gonna get Kelly. He'll probably join here in a little bit, but I know he had some interviews and stuff going on. So once we get the whole group on, we'll team up with Voltron. But man, I cut off some people earlier, and I don't want to discredit that. So I'll go ahead and start with Sean. Man, how was your New Year, bro? How's things going with you, my man?
New Year was great. It was super low key, which was great. I didn't need to party too much these days. Had a good time with family. Had a couple trips planned this year around the holidays, which is really abnormal for me. So went out and saw the people I hadn't been able to see over the last few years instead of wishing they could come to me. And it was really good. I spent a little bit of time down in California. Got a little bit of sun there. That was great. Went to a cabin with my close family and had a great time there. Had a couple party nights. I had to say sorry the next morning. That was the highlight of the trip. But
where'd you go in California, Sean? Where were you at?
We went to Ojai, right up above Santa Barbara, and took a day trip.
Awesome.
It had just flooded Barbara, which I'd never really heard of before. So we were on flood warning. So we waited a couple days and went down in, and we had a great time. Thank you, Zach, for asking.
That's beautiful, bro. Good to, we missed you on the show, man. So it's good to see you safe and sound all in one piece, man. So there's nobody that can replace you. So it's always missed to see all my brothers together. And, Kelly will hop on. We'll miss him as well, too, for this next couple minutes until he hops on or if he hops on. So, man, I'll go to you, Steve, bro. How you been since the last time we talked? How was your New Year's, bro?
Man, it's been a rough week, bro. Normally we're cashing checks, snapping necks. But it's been a rough week for Seattle sports fans. And
someone's gonna go there, man.
I got affinity for Pete on my LA side too. And my man is gone, and we're just, man, there's a whole lot of uncertainty in the Seattle sports market. And if you're a Husky fan, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. But no, man, other than that, just doing the most important thing is minding my goddamn business.
That's always the best. That's always the best, man. How about you, Kyle? What's going on with you, brother? How was your New Year's, man?
I've spent it back in Philadelphia. So I went back on Christmas Eve, and weather was terrible, freezing cold, dark. Then I went down to Marco Island for a wedding in Florida, which you would think I would be able to get away from some of that bad weather. But I think when we got there at the hotel, I knew we were in trouble because the guy that checked us in said, I just want to let you know that, it's going to rain for 3 straight days, and that hasn't happened here in about 5 years. So, yeah. When I got back to LA, man, I almost kissed the ground. I was very, very happy to get back. Out here it's Groundhog's Day, 70 and sunny, even in the winter. So, good to be home. And, I had some action on that Washington bet. I know I mentioned it to you, Zach. When we were there for MJ BizCon, I was able to get the Huskies at plus 2,800 right before the Pac-12 championship. So I had a lot of incentive to watch that game, and I thought that the game plan was great. They had guys that were wide open. It just looked like it wasn't Penix's night First time I've seen him play like that in his whole college career, which was a little bit shocking on my end.
When did he get hurt? I just saw the end of the game when he was holding his ribs, and it just seemed like he was off.
That was towards the end. He got shot in the ribs, and man, that's what happens when they bring these big boys from the Midwest, these corn-fed brothers, come in there and push you around, man.
Yeah, they got beat up in the interior. The guards did not match up well with the D tackles on Michigan, and I think that was something he hasn't seen. That was very disruptive for him from the beginning.
I didn't realize McCarthy could move like he does. Man, the quarterback for Michigan's got some wheels.
He does.
Yeah, he does. I'm a big fan. I was talking to Steve a couple weeks about him. He's like, "Who? What are you talking about?" I was like, "Bro, this dude, man, people are sleeping on this guy, man, you know." But
I mean, he can't really throw for shit, but he has some wheels.
You got
his defense whooped on Alabama. You know what I mean? So, but real quick, Matt, man, let's get to you real quick. How was your New Year's, bro? Anything you want to add to the group?
I mean, it was great. I fell asleep at 9 p.m. Woke up at midnight with some fireworks going off, watched them for a couple minutes, and fell right back to sleep. Woke up nice and rested for the beginning of 2024. Pretty solid evening.
I love it, bro. I love it. Well, I got a list of things. Let's get into some of the items of business that we can discuss, and then, of course, we're gonna always go back. We got a lot of shit to actually go over outside of the cannabis stuff. We got Katt Williams and Shannon Sharpe interview. We got the college football playoffs. We got the retiring of all these great coaches across the college football ranks and NFL. So I hope you guys are ready. You guys got something to roll up. If not, get it ready, and we can get into it. And for the folks watching at home, go ahead and make yourself comfortable, and we'll get you updated on all the cannabis stuff that's going around the world that was on our news feed first and foremost. So first one that popped up was Illinois. If you guys watched the last episode that we had, the last podcast, we talked about the top 3 states, California, Michigan, and Illinois being in those top spots. Well, that was before the December numbers hit. And the December numbers hit, and Illinois broke a sales record, a worldwide sales record for recreational cannabis. They hit the $2 billion mark, fellas, in Illinois. So they're now the number 1 proprietor for all cannabis in the world for all intentions and purposes. They just alone in that last month, they hit like over $200 million in sales. They were at 1.6, I think, at the beginning of the mid-November, and then going into December, they had another $200-something million in rec sales.
Right.
That's a record.
Are you saying Illinois is beating Washington and California in rec sales?
Absolutely. Yeah. They broke their record for rec sales, so they are the number 1 in the country.
What are they doing differently? Like, what in their policy is different that encourages people to buy recreationally rather than from the traditional market?
Hang on, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to it. This is the crazy part about it, is that we talked about this a couple weeks ago. They're border states to like Kentucky, Indiana, all these other states. But what's your thoughts on this, Matt? How do you feel? What do you think is what's impacting them? If you could think of anything.
Oh, I mean, you saying that they're surrounded by border states that are all illegal. I mean, if Washington, I mean, people come from Idaho to buy cannabis in Washington all the time. I mean, if they're surrounded by border states that have pretty big populations, then all of those people are going into Illinois to buy their recreational cannabis, and that's going to boost numbers exponentially. So when those other states start to legalize cannabis, at least medically, I think you'll see sales fall drastically in Illinois. I mean, they'll continue to grow from the Illinois customer base and population, but it'll fall from all of the outside people, once their states legalize it.
Yep, absolutely, man. Kyle, anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, definitely where it's located, I can imagine that has a big impact. I don't know much about the Illinois black market. I know that in California, the black market is still larger than the rec market. So I think that definitely skews the sales of the rec market in the state of California. I actually, well, as Matt was mentioning, I brought it up on the map, and it's surrounded. Missouri is now a state that
Yeah,
has rec,
Missouri. I forgot about Missouri. Yeah.
but that's a new market. I think that's only come online probably within like the last year. Illinois is made up of just the big MSOs. You have Ascend Wellness, you have Cresco. Um, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but it's definitely one of the more heavy MSO markets that there are. I feel like out of all the states, I don't really see a lot of mom and pops. Like competing in that state. But I actually have a list of that I was going to bring up of Ohio real quick, so I can tell you exactly who they are. Because I know I mentioned Cresco and Ascend Wellness, but I
While
actually
you're doing
recently looked
that,
into an Illinois.
I'll throw one more thing in there too. That's even crazier, man. That you guys can think about is they just started concentrate sales. Like they weren't producing hash, oil, any type of vape products until like damn near the last, maybe close to the last half of the quarter
Yeah.
of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Go ahead, Kyle. Continue. Go ahead, and we'll get to you here in a second. Sean, was there something else you wanted to add to that, Kyle?
Yeah, I actually just brought it up. It's like I said, it's Ascend Wellness, it's Green Thumb Industries. Um,
Yeah, I know Green Thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, like and like Cresco. So it's a heavily populated market with those big multi-state operators. I think they have a lot of funding. I know the price of cannabis is pretty expensive in the state of Illinois. But what you mentioned, man, the numbers are the numbers, and if they're setting records with the rec market, it's obviously something that everybody should be following and paying attention to. Um, you know, I I think that California and Washington, I would imagine, although I have not smoked in Illinois, I imagine that the product is probably a lot. I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's probably a little bit more superior.
Yeah.
With the amount of competition that you have, the more competition, it drives the quality of goods in any industry. So that's interesting. I'm glad you brought it up. And like Matt hit the nail on the head. It's surrounded by a bunch of states that weren't legal. So I feel like that, limited options, which probably helped, help drive up those rec sales.
Go ahead, Sean. What are you about to say, bro? Sorry to cut you off, man.
oh no, you're good. Just rapping. But I thought about this since we talked about it, a little while ago, and some of the things I remember from pre 502 here in Washington, just pre legalization in general, is sending packs to Chicago. I mean, that was like top 5, if not top 3 destination for people shipping stuff. So we know that appetite's always been there. We also know that it's not a West Coast place. They don't have the culture of growing cannabis like we do. They don't have the customers that have their plug forever, and are just like, no, I'm not going to participate in this market. They've been working their ass off to get past the West Coast for forever. So
that's actually a really great point.
To go
I'm sorry, Sean. I was just saying that's a great point. That's like a great point.
Yeah. So I mean, it's something that we can be proud of here on the West Coast is where we did for the ticket. It was difficult to complete. I remember taking a
mute yourself, Matt. Can't hear him real quick. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Taking trains with packs to Chicago and hoping the dogs didn't come out. Like it was never easy. And I think the people on the West Coast kept the price high over there. And so now that they have access to good weed at 30, 40, 50 bucks an eighth without having to risk growing it, they've always been harsh penalty before legalization there for growing. So I think it's just a massive appetite without a lot of people growing it out there, and so there wasn't a historic backdoor black market plug for everybody that's really strong like over here.
I agree. Steve-O, what you think, bro? You got anything you want to add to it, man?
Man, you guys pretty much ate all that meat off the bone, but kind of back to what Matt and Sean were both saying is, it's surrounded by dry states, and those states still have strict law enforcement for our kind of industry. So it would make total sense to take your business across the state. I have a pretty big store on the Idaho border that I do business with. It brings in a lot of revenue, and like Sean was saying, man, I had an arm like Randall Cunningham back in the day. I used to throw a lot of passes to Chicago, and they all used to they used to land. A few of them ended up like Kevin Cobb and kind of didn't hit, but I used to throw long passes to that market, and
Right.
You also got to factor in that Chicago's the third biggest economic area in our country. So I think a lot of that's coming out of the Chicago market. And like Kyle was saying, there's competition everywhere. So competition breeds the best, and the best are winning. And so revenue's going up and the consumer wins when that happens. So man, that's exciting. We've got to start bringing some business out that way.
Yeah. Last thing I just wanted to say too is a better tax, breakdown for the customer there. I think Washington will continue to lag because of our tax rate and how people are just moving away from it because the price is so high. Weed is going to be better and cheaper elsewhere soon because of that tax.
One thing though about it is to answer. I think Matt brought it up earlier. He's like, where is Washington at? Washington, I believe, is like number 8. So there was only, I think, 10 places that hit the $1 billion mark, and we're still in that category. We're still in that elite company. Colorado is actually they're in that elite company too, but just barely. They made a big downward turn on where they wanted to be at. So
Yep.
I think right now, from in the national news, it seems like Washington is really they're highlighting us as kind of like the way to do it. Not the right way, but a good staple how we can be able to generate money and still hold on to it. So, all right, that wasn't even one that I had written down. That was one that I was working on from just reading the news. And I remember we were talking about that earlier, so I don't have a source of that. That just came from good karma, y'all. So the first one we're going to talk about, or second one, I guess, actually on the agenda, is this one just kicked out a few hours ago. 12 state attorney generals tell the DEA to reschedule cannabis as a public safety imperative. The source is Marijuana Moment. They wrote a letter, and it was drafted by Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser. Shout out to him, Democrat. So not a whole lot of news about it. It was just breaking as we were getting ready to start recording. But yes, 12 state attorney generals, they backed this letter to reschedule cannabis, and they wrote this to the DEA saying that it's a public safety imperative that they do that. Let's start with you, Steve. What you think about this, man?
I don't see how it's just inevitable. It's got to be moved to a different schedule at some point. And when that happens, I think everybody on this video is going to benefit from it. So for me, it's exciting. Once the toothpaste came out of the bottle, it's got to go federally recreational. You can't put it back in there. So it's just inevitable. Either get with it or get out of the way. That's it.
Yeah.
Real quick, this is saying it's a public safety imperative to legalize it federally. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
A little while.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Kyle, any thoughts on this, buddy?
Why I agree, but I agree.
Well, I actually don't know enough about it to be honest to have a good opinion. I do get nervous when the government gets involved with anything. I feel like they kind of fumble on every industry that they basically touch. So if it becomes federally legal, I think that there's going to be good and bad that comes from it. And the only thing I've seen about the rescheduling part was there may be some issues with the rescheduling part that make what we do for a living a little bit more complicated and increased competition probably from other industries like the pharmaceutical industry that maybe we don't see on the horizon that may potentially become a competitor with the rescheduling. But I don't know enough about it, but I do know that when the federal government does get involved with industry, it seems like it can eliminate some of the small businesses, and I feel like that's what I love the most about our industry is that there is a lot of small mom and pops that are really successful. They're doing it, in a way that is clever. They have great products. They're profitable. They're running a true entrepreneur type of business that sometimes doesn't happen when you get the federal government involved. So
Yeah.
that's just
Right.
my opinion.
Well said.
100%, man.
Mm.
Matthew, what you think, buddy?
I think that dab I just took has me spaced out a little bit.
Yeah. What's the
No, I mean, it was some dark rainbow from
There you
Method
go.
Cannabis. It was really good.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah.
Doing it right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think cannabis is going to be rescheduled in the next 4 to 6 years, regardless. I don't think it's going to happen this voting cycle, regardless of if attorney generals are writing letters to the DEA or not. I think we have to get past Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because even Joe Biden, being a Democrat, has been against cannabis historically. So, I agree with the attorney generals from these states, and I mean, cannabis saves lives. I mean, it literally gets people away from much more dangerous pharmaceutical medications. When I was working at a shop, I started as a bud tender, and I met countless people who got away, got off hard drugs and prescriptions by using cannabis. And, were able to eat when they had cancer and, actually put on weight or maintain their weight rather than just waste away. So, I mean, I agree.
I like it. I like it, man. I think it's definitely something that I look at the people that are drafting these letters too. I look and see what states they're from, and it seems like Oregon, Colorado, Washington are really making a hard push for possibly interstate commerce too. So working together and trying to solve some of their logistics issues probably going to be another thing that they're looking at, so they can work together on that. But yeah, that was pretty good news there. Just broke out. All right, so the next one, Virginia, the great state of Virginia, is looking at launching cannabis sales in 2024 under a new state legislation. Shout out to the marijuana moment again on this one. Another breaking news is that VA is looking at putting that on their ballot this year and going full scale for rec in 2024. Matt, we'll go right back to you, buddy. Double, man. What you think about VA, bud?
I think any new state that opens a recreational market is going to be popular. I mean, Virginia being a historically red state, that's a big surprise. And I mean, I think it will be an example for the other red states like Texas and Oklahoma and Kentucky to potentially do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kyle, what you think about this, man?
I think that every state that goes rec is going to be good for the bottom line of the industry as well. It's Virginia is a state that's surrounded by it's a nice border state. I mean, I'm from the northeast quarter. It can I think it's definitely a positive. I hope they know how to grow weed well when they do get started. That would be my only thing I would be concerned about a little bit. I've had some cannabis from DC, and I've had it from a couple other places like Jersey, but in time they'll figure it out. And like Matt mentioned, any place that goes rec is going to be good for the industry as a whole.
Yeah,
I love it. Shout out to our viewers, man. And in the chat, hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves tonight. You can roll you up something and have a good time as well. Just do it safely. Sean, what you think about VA, man? I know you got some folks down around that area, don't you? Or we were talking about that before?
Not necessarily that area, but I mean, again, I really like Kyle's angle on this. Personally, I think, bouncing off of the federal talk we just had is, it's going well so far. And I think that each state enacting their own policies has been interesting, but I'm not against it, even though you heard me in the last comment talk about Washington's tax rate. Federal legalization does scare me a bit, so I think in the meantime, the quicker that these other states can come on board is great for people like us in the industry. And to another one of Kyle's points, I think the weed, you know, in my experience, I was out on the East Coast again recently as well. And I mean, the weed's good, surprisingly good. Like I've had more bad weed in Washington than I've had in a couple of these other states, to be honest. There's great weed in Washington, but there's also some bad options. And when I'm away from home, I'm kind of shooting blindly. I'm trusting vendors, or I'm choosing a couple random things. And I've been more impressed than I thought I would be with the cannabis across the country. And I think there's a lot of people from the West Coast that know it really well, but I think it's a cultural thing in the United States for so long now that we're talking outdoor. The West Coast has the advantage, but there's not really a ton of reasons outside of history and culture that people on the East Coast can't grow amazing indoor weed, especially with consultants from the West Coast, genetics from over here as well.
Agreed. Steve, anything you want to add to it?
Big Steve.
Nah, man. Every time a new state opens, it's a good thing, especially for us. You know, destigmatizes the industry that much more, normalizes things economically in our industry. And man, it sounds like a great opportunity. Sounds like we need to get boots on the ground out there and add that to our deck. Virginia's a great state.
All right. So the next one, shout out to the sciencealert.com for this one. Very interesting article. Runner's high. So the natural runner's high from when you're running, they're saying there's a close connection to that. There's always been a lot of research about if that actual runner's high is affecting, the same type of high when you're under cannabis, right? So they had an experiment recently that revealed how cannabis is actually affecting your exercise performance, right? Some people are under the theory that, it may help with it, or actually is a performance enhancing drug, or, it's the opposite of it. It can be able to make you sluggish and slow you down. Apparently, and again, shout out to the Science Alert, there was no direct evidence to suggest that cannabis improves your athletic performance in the moment, right? But the researchers said that it was definitely identifiable that the people that would smoke or consume cannabis, more in-depth THC, just not CBD and some of the other cannabinoids, THC. They tested 42 healthy adults in this, their usual workout routine. And it sounds like it was a pretty legit study. It wasn't out of Australia, Steve. So, we ain't got to start no beef with them this time. But they said that it was more enjoyable, and they had a better time working out, and they could work out for a little bit longer. What they did was they put them on the treadmill for 30 minutes, which, I mean, come on, like make them run a marathon or something like that. But they did a 30-minute trial on a treadmill, 42 healthy adults. They gave them a mixture, some CBD one day, a mixture of all of it, and then THC to see the difference. They said they all had mental effects, made them feel like it was a more enjoyable workout, and they could tolerate it better. So, Matthew, I know you're an athlete. We'll go to you and then Sean. Oh, we lost him. All right, go ahead, Sean.
Athlete too, always and forever. May not be in the best playing shape right now, but I'm like Udonis Haslem. I can come off the bench and give you a couple good minutes anytime in the court. So anyway.
Hey, YouTube, did you hear that? He calling off everybody out. If you see him on the court, just run up on him. Just challenge him. It's a Sean basketball challenge.
We might only be playing the 3 points or 5 points these days, but I'm going to give it my all,
Yeah.
What was the question again, Zach? Hit me again.
Cannabis on athletes. They said that what are your thoughts on that? You ever had a game or performed athletically stoned as opposed to sober?
Yeah, so I think there's some scientific reasons that I've heard that it benefits you in terms of your lungs' ability to actually open up and potentially take in more oxygen. I'm not going to go down that route. I think everyone's lungs is a different story. Use, etc., how you smoke. A backwoods smoker, come on, they're not getting a better lung performance after. But some clean cannabis, I think, can absolutely affect you positively for athletic reasons. I think, like you just said, keeping you in the zone, giving you a healthy distraction for maybe part of the things you're not enjoying about the workout. Maybe a mental escape while you're doing it. My father always told me, after a certain age, we won't disclose exactly what age, but it was late teens, told me if I'm going to go, do some of these chores he had me doing, like pressure washing the driveway, get a little stoned first. You'll enjoy it a little more. Put some music on, smoke some weed, and finish the job. God damn it. But
That's awesome.
Another personal experience with sports as well is I was, I have ADD a little, that affects me in different ways that I've learned to cope with. Cannabis has helped me a lot in my professional career, to be honest, with that. But with sports, my mind was always running really fast, and I was nervous sometimes. And especially in the sport of basketball, your confidence in the game is so important. That cannabis use earlier in the day, like not right before I played basketball, because I felt like that would affect my how long I could stay in the game. It would actually affect my air. But if I smoked like hours before a basketball game and my mind just wasn't firing quite as quickly as it usually was, or as distracted as it usually was, I had really amazing games that I really remember, and I know for sure that cannabis was a big part of that. So to keep a long story short, personal experience, absolutely. I feel like cannabis can affect you really well in the moment and kind of keep you in the zone so that you can continue to exercise longer or play better in sports. So big yes from me.
Nice. Kyle, what about you, buddy? You ever go to any games stoned, perform?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ever since I started my intramural career, I've been high 100% of the times. No, I think that one of my favorite activities in terms of being able to release stress is when you get high and you go on a run. I just think that is the perfect combination. I mean, I've gotten high. I've done, I've lifted weights. I've gotten high. I played basketball. But, with the technology and the headphones and everything that you have at your disposal these days, I don't think there's any transformation I can have in mood that's greater than smoking some weed and hitting a good run and listening to some awesome music or even a really good podcast. To me, it's like a cheat code as a human being. So I highly recommend it. If you're capable of doing both activities at the same time, I think it's a fantastic combination.
I love it. I love it. Steve, what you think, man?
Hey, first of all, I'm gonna out Zach. Zach's like a damn ultra marathon runner. For you guys who don't know,
I've seen him run. Yeah.
Slow
He is
down.
Oh,
out
you
there on
have.
the
Yeah, you
river.
saw you
Yeah,
tell
I
me.
could have
Yeah.
fucking. Yeah,
Oh,
I-
yeah.
I wanted no piece of it, man. I was like, nah.
So,
He said put him on a marathon. He's trying to kill people in the test.
oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And my spouse is the same. My spouse goes around the country and literally does marathons completely. Sorry, babe, I'm gonna out you a little bit. But
Shout out to Gigi. Shout out to Gigi.
yeah,
Hey, sis.
completely inebriated, but just smoking that time. But for me, I'm a weightlifter, and I can't move heavy shit when I'm stoned. It just doesn't work for me. So we'll be, Angela loves to come work out with me too, and she'll take a big rip before we go in there, and I got to make sure there's no secondhand smoke for me because all my motivation will literally evaporate before my eyes. And I want to go. You go try deadlifting, off of some Hindu Kush, and tell me how much you're gonna do. This may be more of a me thing than everyone else, but I've always had a very poor performance experience if I'm high and I go try to weight train. It just doesn't work for me. So yeah, and that's just the God's honest truth, man. I wish it gave me some sort of amp. For years that's all I heard from people. I've been friends with Zach for 20 something years. Heard it from him, everyone else. So I've tried a few times, and no, everything I can lift goes down by a good 40% easily.
Well, Zach,
I tell you what. So me and Steve, we would like be in hotels for like weeks at a time, right? So we got to know each other and our day-to-day habits like really freaking well, and like we both would go in the morning and go work out before we get up, right? And so I would get up extra early to go grab my coffee. So for me, it's more of a whole process. Like it just can't be cannabis. It has to be a mixture of caffeine as well too. If you're gonna go lift heavy, you got to have the caffeine to get your heart pumping too. In my opinion, and I do it every day, every single day. I have to get stoned and work. I mean, I don't have to, but I like to get stoned and work out. I can go without it, but for me, it's just like Kyle says, just gets rid of some of the BS. But I would get up just a little bit earlier when me and Steve were down in California, just so I can grab a cup of coffee, go smoke a joint, put my headphones on, listen to some Larry June, and just zone out. And by the time you get done with your run, I'm looking down, like, oh shit, I'm at like 2 or 3 miles, So I don't know. I think it's depending on a lot of the things like the strain, the other stuff that you have in your system too. So like I said, caffeine is going to be a good rider to be able to have with it if you're going to work out. And then you got to have a good ass playlist. If you got a weak ass playlist, it ain't gonna hit the same way. But I'm glad that they're doing research on this because I've been a huge advocate of this for years. Steve's heard me say it. I don't know how many times, probably weekly.
Right.
So, all right, Vermont. What you about to say, Sean? You about to say something?
Shout out weed and coffee, hippie speedball, baby.
Exactly. Hippie speedball.
Got a lot of
I love it.
That's a new strain name.
We're about to say that for it. We'll record that one for a short. That's gonna be a viral short right there, bro. All right, so check this one out. We're talking about hippie speedballs out here in Washington State. Let's go across the pond over here in Vermont, right? So the House is contemplating nixing the THC caps. So right now in Vermont, you can't buy anything that's over a certain cap of THC percentage concentration. So that was the vtdigger.com. Shout out to you guys for that tidbit of information. But they're going to be taking the cap off of the flower and concentrate. So right now in Vermont, you can only purchase cannabis that has less than 30% THC. If it's anything that tests over that, they pull it off the shelf. You can't sell it in the stores. Gone. You can turn it into a concentrate, but if that concentrate is over 60% THC, then you also have to recall it and pull it off the shelf. They're looking at, they looked at it from more of a holistic approach, and I kind of dig it, kind of don't. Want to see what you guys think about this part, but they're looking at it as this is a brand new product to the market. We don't want to overindulge and have oversaturated, heavy dosing products on the first launch of things. We want our citizens to be introduced to cannabis for the first time, put a cap on it. But we also want to be able to make them graduate. So now we feel like that they've graduated to that next level and we can take the cap off of things. I'm going to add on, oh shit. Hey, all right. We're going to add on one more guest here real quick. And then I'll go to Steve to answer this question if you got anything. But ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and the rest of the world, got to give this man a proper introduction. I'm sure he's been working his ass off. Oh, and then just like that, boom, he's gone. He'll be back. All right, he ain't getting no intro next time, man. Shit, Steve, let's go back to this.
Sure. Yeah, for me, I'm a fan of a reasonable cap because, and Zach can contest to this. I've got some unregulated 500 milligram pills that I've had in my laundry room for about 10 years. And I'm a veteran, man, and I have a high tolerance, but those pills have been looking at me like Debo from Friday, like, yeah, try it. Come on. And I'm just like, no, I don't want them problems because when this industry started, man, I went to the hospital taking edibles because there was no cap. I had no idea I thought I was dying. I couldn't, I had 200 milligrams and had no tolerance for it. So I think there needs to be some sort of cap, and more importantly, an educational system. It sounds like Vermont's kind of ahead of the curve, and I may be unpopular for saying it, but I've experienced, what something that's unregulated has done. So that's just my 2 cents.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, he's here. He's made his arrival. The man, the myth himself, Mocha Magic. So we'll go ahead and give the mic to you real quick and your thoughts on this from coming in. How you doing today, brother? First off.
I'm doing very good, boys. I'm doing very, very good.
Good,
Just
man.
finished up a little bit of work, man, and I'm not excited to get back in traffic. So
Happy
I think
Friday.
jumping on with you boys is definitely
Yeah.
definitely a better option for me.
Yeah, we had Maddie on earlier. I think he got a little bit of traffic too, so he'll hop on here in a bit. But first thought for you for the day, we'd like to hear Vermont is putting a cap on, or they're releasing their cap. They had a cap on 30% THC for flower, 60% THC for concentrates. They're now removing that cap, and they're citing that their citizens have graduated to that point, so they need more products that are going to be available. So that's going to require a little bit higher potency, as well as their tolerance is getting higher too. So any thoughts on that before we move it to Sean?
I mean, I think honestly, the only thought I have on that is I mean, honestly, having a cap at all is just an absolute. It's just nonsense. I mean, complete nonsense. So I mean, I think they're just doing they're doing themselves a favor here. That is for sure. They're doing themselves a huge favor because ultimately, if you really want people to buy more cannabis, you should probably allow them to raise their tolerance as high as humanly possible.
This is true. I've never been to Toys R Us and they were like, "Hey, man, you can only buy 3 GI Joes and 2 Ninja Turtles." Dog. I'll be like, "What are you talking?" But I feel it. Uh, man, what are you thinking about this, Sean?
I mean, I love the toy or the Toys R Us interjection here, because now you got me thinking about a whole other group of things as I raise a 3-year-old that I may have bought too many toys for at this point.
Never a thing. Never such a thing, bro.
Than too much cannabis. We'll get to that in another show. But, I'm glad Kelly came in hot. I mean, that's what we're here for is hot takes. And that was how I originally felt, to be honest. I was here through Steve's comment, though, where Steve is a fan of caps. And it made me think about the volatility of cannabis. And I mean, there is a percentage for new users, a likelihood percentage of a freak out. And I think that that's something that we can kind of relate back to the alcohol industry, and that will forever be, an industry that paved the way for this, and that we can probably, reference back to more often than we think we can. But the alcohol industry has put a cap on it, on their drug, and they've also introduced what I think is actually much more important than a cap, because people in the industry like us know that these percentages don't always tell the true tale of the product as well.
That's a very good point, bro.
But what I think we need is,
very true.
If there's beginners that need a beginner product, then we need the Coors Light for cannabis. We need a safe intro product. We need a product that is built for the new consumer or the light consumer, not just throwing these hyper potent, items at people and saying, yeah, just nibble on it. You know what I mean? Like, let's cater a little bit more as we expand our product offering state to state, and have a beginner cannabis product that people feel really safe going into. Because, I mean, as we know from our use in these categories, that the mindset going into these experiences is super important as well. And so I think, to make a long story short, if you provide a safe intro product for people that is also backed up with good reviews and good information to make them feel even more confident about their experience, that it'll ultimately be a good experience for them. So I think development of products in the cannabis sphere, which will happen as we continue to expand, there will be a product that comes out to address people that want very light doses but don't want to have to roll the dice.
Very good takes, bro. Very good takes. Kyle, what you think about this, brother?
I do agree with Sean in regard that someone that is a novice, you don't want to throw them into the deep end, because that's going to make them never come back to using the product again. But I do have a problem with capping any adult in our country for anything. It's just not, I think that, that is, just not how I feel like people should be able to conduct themselves. I feel like, you know, you could drink a bottle of, you could go into any liquor store, any Whole Foods, any shopping, food store right now and buy a bottle of booze that could kill you. If you drink a fifth of, Jack Daniels, there's a majority of people that would die, drop dead, right then and there. That's not something that can happen with cannabis. I've eaten so many edibles, like, in terms of what Steve's story said, where I felt like I was dying. But, the reality was I wasn't, and I passed out, like, and woke up and, it was like out of a movie. Like, it was like 5 minutes later and people were telling me that, they never seen anything like that before. But I don't believe that my risk was my health was, at risk at all during that period. And it was a valuable lesson. I've been consuming cannabis since I was, if I had to be honest, 12 years old, like, not, pretty fucking consistently too.
Right.
But, the cat thing, I think there's sometimes, like, it's like with alcohol. I mean, the first time I drank alcohol, it wasn't a Coors Light. It was stealing a bottle of vodka from my parents' cabinet, and chugging that with a couple of my buddies and getting hammered. And, like, that wasn't a pleasant experience at all. But it's a life lesson. And as you get older, you learn how to conduct yourself a little bit better. And the reality is, I could have killed myself with that bottle of alcohol that I stole from my parents, that bottle of vodka. The most potent cannabis product that you can consume. You may feel like you're dying, but I don't know of any, confirmed stories where that's happened, unless it was a product that was laced with something that was foreign to the plant, like, something that was, a toxin, or something that was obviously not, or something that was sprayed with a pesticide, not from the actual cannabis plant that someone, had a major health risk off of, over consuming. So I just, I'm like more of a libertarian in terms of, I believe that as an adult in the United States, and in the freest country in the world, where, you should have the right to, be able to get by whatever the hell you want. And, you should be responsible enough not to allow that substance to ruin your life. And, experimentation can be a good learning lesson for people.
And disclaimer, you may, but you're not. That should be on all these edibles above 100 milligrams. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, you may feel like you're dying, but believe me, you're okay.
You're all right.
Yeah.
Don't call it.
Right.
Steve,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got to consume your body weight in cannabis to kill yourself. Isn't that right?
I mean, I think Snoop's tried.
No,
I think it's hard to do.
Yeah, so do I. So do I.
Steve, you got anything you want to add to this one, bro?
Yeah, I just want to refine my former statement. I think it's good for edibles. There has to be some, but not concentrates or flour. That's just
flour. Yeah,
that's ridiculous. And yeah, so that's it.
Okay. I think you guys all have a good and valid point on everything. When listening to you guys, it's making me think, like, first I was like, it's good that it is Vermont and they are, a little bit different on their, being so remote. So they had to be a little more careful about it. But yeah, it was insightful to hear you guys talk about that shit too, though, man. Because I mean, we went from every spectrum on that one. Speaking on the next topic, I think we'll add on Matt. He's back.
Oh,
so
good.
we got the whole crew up in the house.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Matt's about to get high. I love
Matt,
it.
you got some of that 6-star hash? Is that what you got in front of you?
Of course he does.
I mean, always. That's what I smoke, my friend.
He said, I mean, but he said that like he's dead ass serious, bro.
You got to ask Matt if he believes in a cap. I think I might know his answer.
Oh yeah, he gonna be fucked no.
Let's put the odds down. Let's make a bet.
Yeah,
I'll
ask. Okay, so check this out, bro. This is the last topic we just talked about. It's in Vermont. So they're passing a law to be able to take the legal cap off of their sales. Oh, what you got there? You got to give a shout out?
Yeah.
This is the Guru times Real Deal Resin Super Boost.
Oh,
Nice.
smoking that in flower form. Not that, but a super booth cross with some cherries in it and shit. Anyway,
And then here is the Trichome Tortoise Super Boof full melt. It's purple full melt, and it just won Ego Clash like 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
You're the booth, man.
So check this out. It's purple full melt.
That's oh my god, damn.
Hey Matt, is that a lawn cure or is that just a standard squish?
No, this isn't even squish. This is full melt. So this is just like
Oh, that's
bubblegum.
melt.
It's like
Oh,
6 star.
fuck.
This is 6 star. Yeah. That's the
From
creme de la creme.
Matt, for the viewers out there on YouTube, can you please explain real quick before we talk to you about Vermont? Can you explain what 6 star is?
Here's oh shit, now I'm spilling it. 6 star is just the very tip of the trichome head, and it's the biggest and juiciest trichome heads from the plant. And the way it's extracted is, I mean, it has to be impeccably grown cannabis. And then you take that cannabis and it has to be impeccably harvested. It has to be the right strain because not all strains can produce it. And then you throw that impeccably grown and harvested cannabis in a bucket of ice water and stir it very gently. And yeah, a couple of the bags will have this quality of product in there. You get about maybe a 1% yield from all of your weight of 6 to 6 star.
Gold.
Maybe.
Like sifting gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite literally as or more expensive than gold.
So back to Vermont. So in Vermont, they thank you for that, by the way. So that'll be a good one to be able to get your opinion on this. So Vermont said that they're releasing their cap on THC percentages. So before they had a 30% cap on flower and a 60% cap on concentrates. So now they're voting into that being nixed, and people can be able to buy higher than 30% cannabis and higher than 60% concentrates. Any thoughts on that?
Funny enough, I mean, I don't think the percent ever matters. I mean, some of the best tasting and stoniest flower I've ever had has tested at 12% THC, and probably like 16% total cannabinoids. As far as concentrates go, full melt generally doesn't even test over 60% THC. I mean, maybe it's over 60% total cannabinoids, but the THC levels, I mean, it's a much more full spectrum high. You get your entourage effects because you have all the terpenes and all the cannabinoids that aren't present in flower and concentrates that are THC dominant or, predominantly THC. When you have something really, really, really high in THC, generally it doesn't possess the same cannabinoid profile or terpene profile as, stuff that's lower testing in THC.
100%.
So I don't think the percentage matters, but I think it's stupid to have a cap on percentage regardless. Short answer.
I would have bet all the tea in China that he said that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Quick question.
All of the tea.
What's up, Sean?
THC percentage, but does total cannabinoid percentage make more sense?
Yes. Well, no, not really, but they're just mandating it that it's nixed. It was applied only on THC at the time, so they probably weren't even thinking about the effects of total cannabinoids on the body. Just they knew that damn THC. We gotta keep that shit under 30.
See, that's
people going crazy.
It's just unfounded, It's just like Matt said. Some of the highest he's ever been is off flower that's 12% THC, but total cannabinoids might have been through the roof.
Right. Yep. All right. Good talk, guys. Good talk. All right. Check this one out. New York, Buffalo. So the first cannabis dispensary that opened up in Buffalo, New York, it's called the Camp of Dank, or no, Aaron Van Camp, and his store is called Dank 716. So shout out to Aaron Von Camp of Dank 716, sir. and also Syracuse.com for reporting this. Your shop in Buffalo, New York, hit $5 million in sales. Only open 6 months. Um, opened July 17th of 2023. First 6 months, they grossed $5 million in sales. Their average cart size was $70 to $80, which is
Yeah,
about where we're at. That's some big boy stuff, billionaire type stuff.
that's good.
Uh, 70 to 80 per customer, which is actually lower than it is in Manhattan. Manhattan averages $100 to $110 per customer. So he's looking at it from like doing all right, but people over there in Manhattan is, their average cart is much higher, but
At the legal stores, Manhattan still has
consequent, yeah,
70% that are registered. It's crazy.
well, check this out. So consequently, it's also this guy is he's averaging a lot more customers than many stores across the state. He's averaging 300 to 500 customers per month, and the majority of his sales are just cheap eights. Sean, you were on this one. You got something to say about this? What you got, bro?
I do. I'll get, but no, I think exclusivity is huge. Being the only outlet there, the first, like you said, that's huge. Shout out to him for securing that. However that happened, we won't get into that, but amazing. That's huge. I mean, what's the math on that? I'm not the math major in the group, but that's a lot per month. 6 months, 500 million.
You mean 1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about 500.
It's almost hitting. If it was 6 million over 6 months, he'd be at $1 million a month.
Yeah.
And they
So
did.
not too far from $1 million a month. He's just under that.
I mean, that's incredible, especially for a first-time cannabis owner, I would assume. I want to see what he parlays it into. He's off to a huge start. Everybody in his area is going to be at a disadvantage once they get their licenses. I would assume there'll be more there, but yeah, pretty simply, hey, first to the well gets most of the water. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Steve, what you think, bro?
I'm thinking I've lived that exact movie before, where I've been the only store in an area that did just about the same thing in that amount of time. That's still around. That's still pumping
Yep.
out numbers. So good for that owner. I know it's life-changing, and we're rooting for you, man. That's awesome to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, what you think, brother?
I think that Steve and Sean said, being first to market is a huge deal. A story that's popular right now is, I don't know if you've seen, but Men, they recently just got pulled off the OTC. And when I first started coming out to California when cannabis was legal, Men was one of the only dispensaries that you could find out here pretty easily, no matter what part of Los Angeles you were in. Now, you have to keep up. It's good to make that initial splash, especially when there's limited competition. But you're going to have to keep evolving and, keep getting that consumer loyalty, because there is competition coming, and they're going to be gunning for that number one spot. And I just thought it was relevant because, now, at one point, Men was trading at $5-6 a share. It got kicked off the OTC because now it's under 1 penny a share, and they were first to market out here in SoCal, and they obviously did not keep up with the Joneses, and that's probably the reason why they're struggling business at this point.
Major fumble alert. That is insane. First to market, your shit's down that far. Ouch.
That's
Yeah.
brutal.
Kelly, what you think, bro?
Well, I mean, I'm in the midst of launching some stores, so I will wish nothing but good luck and hope the good karma comes back my way.
Good luck.
Other than that, I mean, honestly, if in first year, you're hitting $1 million and you're the market share leader in a new market, this gentleman, I know he probably needs to re-engage and make sure to keep his brand fresh with the community, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, honestly, man, with a solid percentage, with the majority of people in New York still buying black market, there is a gigantic amount of growth
Right.
that is still on the horizon. And the more and more that regulators clamp down on these black market sources, it's just the more and more that these stores are going to grow. And, what I will say is that in places like New York, especially, New Jersey is another one, Illinois, another one, a lot of these big cities, really some places in Ohio, Columbus, real estate is really fucking expensive, like really expensive. And so if you are a medium-sized company to a small-sized company, I mean, if you're a mom and pop, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete in a place like that. I mean, if you are a mom and pop plus 5 cousins plus a few third cousins and half of the fucking neighborhood, you're still going to have a hard time competing in a place like that. You're going to be talking about anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, on a lease there, and if you want to buy, you're well into the millions. So I think that he definitely needs to keep engaged in the community. He's got to refresh his brand, but the market's really hard to get into. There is a gigantic amount of growth coming from the traditional market that will take time. And ultimately, if you're the market share leader and you're first to market, it's really, really hard. It's really hard to fall off in terms of market share. All he has to do is keep his prices competitive and keep his his customer service good. That's pretty much it.
Bingo.
It's not that complex. Not in the beginning.
Matt, your thoughts, buddy? What do you think? $5 million, 6 months in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, I mean, obviously, he's providing a service to the community, and as long as, like Kelly said, he continues to engage with the community and doesn't take advantage of them. Because what I've seen is I've seen a lot of stores that have started off really hot because they're the only store in the area. But if they take advantage of the community while that is the case, and another store comes in, people are quick to leave that store and go to the new store. But if they give them good value and take care of the community, then that store has the potential to be the powerhouse in the area, for a really long time.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, shout out to you, Aaron, Mr. Van Camp of Dank 716. Like I said, man, that's impressive numbers, and hopefully, that continues in the future. All right, last one on cannabis, and then we can go ahead and get into a couple different things outside of this. I appreciate you guys, man. Very great insights. Let's go to Thailand. So, 18 months ago, Thailand legalized recreational sales. Was going to be one of the big tourist attractions of that region. Seems like it was off to a great start. Had a lot of investors. CNN is now reporting that Thailand is now banning recreational cannabis completely.
Wait.
And this is after 18 months of decriminalization.
Cat's out of the bag. That's not how that works.
Yes.
Country though, man.
Hey, we got a viewer said, YS said, yeah, we're still in the Stone Age in regards to, yep, absolutely.
Tumbleweeds.
Yep. Man, Steve, we'll start with you, man. I know you were almost to
We were almost into doing the job because I was gonna rope your ass into it. I got approached by a group to open a few stores in Thailand about 2 years ago, Zach. And so I had called Zach and I was like, hey, this is what the package looked like. Serious people. But in the end, man, that was a long trip. I don't know that country. And we're making, a pretty good living here in the States. And now I'm glad we did not do that. So if they canceled it after 2 years or 18 months, not even 2 years, that tells me that either organized crime, corrupt government, things that I would not want to deal with got involved. at that level, and they just had to completely freeze it and shut it down, because I've never seen that with cannabis. It's always a green rush and a gold mine for not only the citizens, the government as well. So something majorly must have gone wrong in that market. So sounds like we missed a bullet with that, or dodged a bullet with that one, Zach.
Do you think
Yeah.
it was outside money coming in, too much outside money, which would pull, Thai money out of the country because so many foreign investors are coming in for the green rush in Thailand?
You know what?
That could be
One more thing too, real quick. I'll add to this, and this may help apply a little bit more context to it. Is that now they're actually imposing hefty fines for mandatory prison sentences if you're busted with it, and they're only limiting things to medical, and they're gonna go ahead and, once a new regime is in, I guess with the electoral votes here in about 6 months, they may reintroduce the recreational laws, but they've pulled it.
Okay.
So Matt, you're on to something there, man. I think that might be the case there. But yeah, go ahead and finish up, Steve.
I was just going to say, when I was talking to my contacts back and forth, I had a lot of questions in regards to safety. And they had assured me that the organized crime element was going to try to get involved, but they would stop it. And so that was enough for me also to be like, yeah, I don't need international criminal problems. Let's just go ahead and skip that. So very, very surprising to see they pulled the plug on it that quick. I have a lot of questions, so I'll probably delve into that off camera.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you gonna have to make a couple phone calls. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
What you think, Sean?
I mean, I'm speechless, to be honest. I mean, I think Matt's onto something. I think they're probably bringing it back to they don't have a lot of experience with this, right? So I think bringing it back to the drawing table is something that, maybe a country like Thailand can go ahead and do, without public approval. Just pull it back, figure out what's going on with it, re-release it if they feel like it's actually going to work in a way that they either thought it would or that they think will be more beneficial to them. I would assume it's temporary, but again, the cultural, addiction to cannabis doesn't exist outside of the U.S. like it does here. I mean, outside of a couple select countries. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't something that worked out in the way that they thought it would. Maybe it's something that they just want to rewrite because they have full control and make sure that, after 18 months of notes, they rewrite the laws in a way that benefit them. I have no clue, to be honest, and I'm kind of speechless on it. I'm really looking forward to figuring out what's going on there, because I have a lot of people in my, family circle, in my extended circles, that were interested in the very least in cannabis expanding nationally like that. So that was a huge deal. It's a huge deal that they pulled it, and it's absolutely something that I feel like I'll be delving into off camera, like Steve said.
Yeah, make them phone calls, gentlemen. Make them phone calls.
We gotta see what's going on. This is wild. That's great news.
Yeah, man. It is. It was a hot news feed this week, as always. But yeah, that was the last one I saw on CNN before we went live. And I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta throw that one in there, man, for damn sure.
Hard.
Yeah. Kyle, what you think, brother? What you think about this one, man? About Thailand?
Well, I actually saw that news clip yesterday. I would have to educate myself on what the reason would be behind that. It seemed like it was a market that was taking off, and it was obviously a good place to be because a lot of other countries in that region of the world are the most anti-cannabis places, besides maybe some of the more strict Islamic places in the Middle East.
Laos.
So what's that?
Laos is a place I know you could smoke weed over there, but outside of that, there's not a ton of places on the list. Vietnam, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was progress, so that's a shame. The first thing I think of when I think of Thailand was a bully in my neighborhood that used to say, "Do you know what the capital of Thailand is?" And then he would punch you in the nuts when you weren't looking. That's about the most insight I got on it, to be honest with you guys.
Kyle?
No. No, I promise I was not.
A kid in my neighborhood. He said that shit pretty quick, man.
Right. So That's me joking around a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I was hoping I was making some progress in that region of the world. Obviously, I know that the Philippines has a very conservative president. There may be some other conservative leadership that's going on in that region because I don't know a lot about. Hell, I don't even know about the political system in our country, so I'd be talking some shit if I try to wrap my head around what's going on over there.
Oh man.
No.
Matt, what you think, man? Anything you want to add to it?
I mean, not really beyond what I said. I think it's, it all has to do with money always. Why else would they legalize it and then pull it back? They probably saw some fundamental issues in their policy, or they're just losing way too much money, or too much money was going outside of the country from, the business that they allowed in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're going to reevaluate the situation and launch it with much more of a, like most states do, where you have to be from the state to be able to open a grow or a business.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to be Thai or be from Thailand or be a citizen or a resident to be able to open a cannabis business there.
Yeah, Thailand 2.0 coming soon for sure.
Yeah. Kelly, you got anything you want to add to it? You there?
I don't have a whole lot to add. I'd have to keep my answer relatively brief on this one. But the truth is, any kind, in my opinion, the cat's out of the bag. There's no way you go from legalizing to back into the war on drugs and expect some kind of positive result. So, I mean, I don't think it's a good idea. And I think there's a whole lot of business people who have moved into that country and have spent a whole lot of money and have spread a whole lot of influence, and to just kind of spike all of their investments. It seems like a bad idea for their country in general. But
yeah. Well, we got to wait and see. This will be one of those topics that I'm sure we'll be talking about here this summer sometime. 6-7 months down the road, maybe we'll hear some better news or start reading about some, more defined or better legislation that they'll start constructing. So that was it for the cannabis section, fellas. Appreciate you guys with your responses and being so tentative to all of that stuff. I know it was kind of hefty on the news feed this week, but one other thing that came up on the news feed this week that I think we definitely have to talk about that broke the internet, Katt Williams. If you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, I would recommend doing so on Shannon Sharp's podcast. It was crazy, man. Like that was something to start the beginning of the year with right there. And some people see it as, Katt going off, on the deep end. Katt's always had that type of conversation, even in his comedy. But I bring that up because I'm really interested to see. I know it impacted me. I saw it. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it, bro. Okay. So I can explain this without having any extra notes on this one. But so Shannon Sharp has a podcast called Club Shay Shay. And he brought on Katt Williams to begin the year, the comedian. Katt Williams started out by saying that, number one, he knew how to read at the age of 3. He had a college offer to the University of Dayton at the age of 7. He can run a 4.140, if not faster.
Stop.
And there's a big conspiracy between Bernie Mac and how everybody was stealing his jokes, and how people have stole his jokes, and now everyone in the entertainment community is coming out. And I mean, all the other stuff, like I hope you know about Diddy and all that other shit. So he brought up all of that. He brought up all of the crazy parties that's going on in Hollywood, how Kevin Hart was a plant. And I can tell you what, I want to bring Kyle to start talking about this first, because me and him had some behind the scenes conversations about this, and I know he knows his shit on this, man. So, man, take it from there, bro. What else is going on that I can tell Matt that I missed in there, Kyle?
Oh man, I thought that he came on there and set the record straight. I thought that what he did was, you know, in my opinion, he's an extremely talented guy. I think that you see in a lot of pop culture and entertainment in today's world, there's a lot of mediocrity. And you've got to question why all these mediocre people that are just crushing it, in terms of music, in terms of comedy, in terms of entertainment. I don't think that that's really, to me, like that. It seems like something's not lining up correctly. And I thought that he went on there and made a good point, saying like you can't let losers rewrite the history books. That's just never how it's ever worked. And he went on and set the record straight. I seen him run, and he ran a 4.3. And I'm telling you right now, if you pull up the video, it was him at Memphis University running the 40 inside of a basketball court. And I thought I saw smoke coming off his feet the way that he was moving, man. He's only about 5'5", but he's fast. I think that a lot of the people that give rebuttals back.
He really ran a 4.340. You're lying.
I'm telling you right now, you can Google it. He's fast as shit.
What
I'm
year
telling
was
you.
this? Was this like 1995?
Last week.
Stop
Last
it.
week. Yes, he
That fool's
did. Zach, am I telling the truth?
Allegedly, they have the video on Twitter.
They
man.
got the video.
Steve don't believe
like
it either. We were talking
55?
about it earlier. Huh?
Right.
Isn't Mans like 55?
He's like 55, 56. Yeah,
Bro,
he's grandpa and shit.
He has a 2-foot stride, man. The physics don't work.
I'm
There's
telling
no
you,
way.
wait till you see the way his legs and arms move.
Hey,
It
looked like a 40-yard dash for Katt Williams, but since he's 4'3", it was actually 20 yards.
yeah, well, dude, I'll tell you, man, he was moving. He was like a fucking pistol out there.
He was moving, man. He was flying.
Yeah, he was moving. I'm telling you, you saw smoke coming from his feet. But I think that he's an extremely talented guy, and I feel like he's in. There's a lot of things that I liked about what he said. I think that he brought on people. He's not looking for a subservient partner. He's looking to give people opportunities. I think that also could go and transfer into a lot of different industries. The things he was talking about. I've worked for people in the past, and their egos and how they try to bring on salespeople, how they try to bring on employees. I believe in empowering people. And I think that, Hollywood's crazy. I mean, I live out here in Los Angeles, and, obviously everything that you hear about Epstein, everything you heard about Harvey Weinstein, everything you heard about all these different, people that were gatekeepers. I think that the one good thing about comedy and entertainment is that the talent can, surpass all the bullshit. And I think that he's an example of that. He's a guy that is, and podcasting's done that as well, where it used to be difficult to get on the radio. It used to be difficult for a comedian to make it because there were so many gatekeepers, and they will only let 5 people in every time period. Now, you only need an audience of 50 to 100,000 people, and you can have a successful career, as being an artist. I thought that it was, a lot of things that he said made sense, and I think the people with their responses back to him, I felt like they were weak. They were responses that were, in my opinion, they weren't saying he's a liar, he's not telling the truth, or they weren't coming out with anything factual to debunk all the things that he was talking about. And the steal and joke thing, I mean, that's been going on in comedy forever. I thought that he made a great point about calling out Cedric the Entertainer. I thought that was entertaining. Kevin Hart's from Philly, so I love Kevin Hart. I think he does a really good job with stand-up, Kevin Hart, but I think his movies are terrible. And I think that, he's not really, he's the it guy. He's making a ton of money. And, obviously there's probably some influence. I know, not to get too far into the weeds here, but I look at like Taylor Swift. I think Taylor Swift, if I had to put her in a bucket of women that I saw when I was younger come up, like I'm 36 years old. I've seen Whitney Houston. I've seen Mariah Carey. I've seen some people that were just, even Madonna, supremely talented. Yeah, like just supremely talented individuals. I don't see that with her, and she's bigger than all of them combined. So how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
That's the best
Yeah.
take of 2024 right there. He said,
Right,
man, fuck Taylor Swift, man.
right, right.
No.
So, you see these people get these roles, and is the talent level there? I don't think so. I saw, like, I actually, I like was thinking about this. Like, I saw a clip, like something on my Instagram come up. So when Dazed and Confused was filmed, it was filmed in 1993, and it was portraying a movie of high school students in 1976. If you look at the difference in culture between 1976 and 1993, 17 years, think about how much changed culturally in our country between that time period. If you look at now, 2024, go back 17 years to 2007,
Wow.
culturally, I mean, how
Crazy.
much have you seen things evolve and change and great things happen in terms of music, in terms of entertainment, in terms of movies? I feel like there's a big drop off, and there's
Whack.
probably very specific reasons why that's occurring, and I think it's because of gatekeepers. And I think it's because it's more of yes men getting into these positions than true great artists. And I was glad that he called a lot of the bullshit out.
Steve, it looked like you got something to say. What's up, man? What you got to say about this one, bro?
Man, I couldn't agree more. But man, when Matt's back on camera, I'd like to ask a question to the group, because this is a special group that you got to get. Kind of like you just formed the Avengers over here and shit. If you got Matt on camera, I have a
Hey, I
third
tell you what,
question for
man. Listen, you ain't never seen me and Nick Fury in the same room at the same
him.
time.
There
So I'm
you
just
go.
saying, man.
Man, but back to what Kyle's saying, and Kyle, you might have just solved something for me, because I'm grateful for Zach, because he's kind of my canary in the coal mine. He'll bring me back new music, because I'm stuck on Gap Band,
hmm
on Dre, Snoop, Pac, the Supremes, uh, Earth, Wind, and Fire. All this new shit today, for the most part, garbage, and that could be a big reason why. Man, I just don't gravitate to anything new. There's a few guys out there. I like Larry June, but he's kind of the exception, not the rule. For the most part, if you bring me new music, I'm just like, I don't know what I I don't understand the correlation between this kind of content and the popularity that it merits. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up. And by the way, man, I'm a little upset that you ruined Teddy Pendergrass and Julius Irving for me through
You got to
Zach.
tell that
Uh,
story too, dog. We got
Oh,
to
I'm a
hear
little
that one at
upset,
some
man. I
point,
love Dr.
bro.
J, and I love.
I could get into it. Do you want me to go off topic, or do you want to stick with this?
Man, let's just go off topic. People know
Drop it,
about Kevin Hart.
drop it.
You know what? You listen. You came for Kevin. If you came for Kevin Hart, you gonna walk away with some Teddy P facts, and then we'll get to
Right.
you, Sean. We'll get to you too, Kelly. We gonna get to y'all in a minute. But you got to tell this story, bro. I couldn't believe it, man.
Yeah, so a little bit of history was Teddy Pendergrass started off in a band called Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. And Harold Melvin was a hustler from Philadelphia. And when they came out with their first album, when there was a lot of big hits that came out, everybody thought that Teddy Pendergrass was Harold Melvin. That's how in the dark everybody was in terms of pop culture, that they were able to hide that fact. So people would listen to Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes. They would hear Teddy Pendergrass, this guy with this phenomenal voice, a real star, and everyone thought that that guy that was singing those songs and those hits was Harold Melvin. Teddy Pendergrass ended up breaking away from his contract, becoming a solo artist, and how Teddy Pendergrass is on his way to become the biggest star in the world. And he was having female-only concerts, which is something that I don't think a single artist in the world or a single artist since would be able to have the capacity to do something like that. Taylor Swift does, but I'm talking about like a male artist
Yeah.
where you have just female, fan base, and only females could come in. So, he was living in Philadelphia and on his way to become the biggest star in the world. He used to drive around in Philadelphia in a green Rolls Royce. It was the 70s. He was a target. Philadelphia has a lot of racial back and forth and tension because Philadelphia is basically a city that's just black and white. There is other ethnicities, but it's predominantly black, where it's probably about 50% black, and then 42% white, and then 8% of the rest. And it causes tension, especially during that time frame. And he was a target from the police, and he was on a street coming home from a nightclub, and he had his green Rolls Royce. He was on this road called Kelly Drive. It's a very beautiful road in Philadelphia. It's one of the only roads that's untouched. It's been preserved by the Fairmount Park out there. So basically, it looks like what it looked like when they came and wrote the Declaration of Independence, and it's untouched in terms of history. So it's a really unique area of the city. He was driving home from a club, and he had Dr. J's wife in the back seat, and in the front seat he had the first tranny, basically like the first very attractive transsexual person. They don't know what she was doing in the front seat, but they know he crashed his car, and Dr. Dre's wife was in the back seat. And when he crashed his car, the police got to the scene.
We're talking about Julius Irving.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. Dr. J, Julius Irving's wife, was in the back seat during this incident, and the rumor has it when he crashed his car, the Philadelphia police force did not help him right away. I don't know. I wasn't around during that time, so I can't verify that. But as a result of that accident, Teddy Pendergrass became paralyzed, and that really hindered his rise to stardom. And that's just a Philadelphia legend story of a great artist that was on his way up, that probably did not shine to the light that he had, to the capability or capacity it could have been.
That's wild, bro. That's wow.
Yeah,
wild.
Right. So trans person back then in the 70s, it was obviously even more of a lightning rod of a story, and Teddy Pendergrass at that time was the biggest sex symbol in all pop culture.
My man's was party.
Yeah, he's having him a good old time. Dr.
KO that night. My guy Teddy.
I've told Steve that story, and I've butchered it a million times. Like, you just got to hear the story from him, man. Like, I'm not doing it justice. we had to look it up. We're like, wow, can't believe that was what was going down back then. But that goes back to what's going on in 2024. You know what I mean? According to Katt Williams, ain't much change, man. Like, they were getting down like that back in the day, and ain't too much changed about that. Like, we talked about how the difference in 2007 to where we are now, that's the one thing probably sounds like that stayed constant. The other thing that really struck me is just wild is it's really fucking up my childhood to see all this shit about Michael Jackson. Like, it really is. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I grew up on Mike. And as a grown man now, you're seeing all the stuff and Revelations, like, yeah. And that's what Katt Williams was talking about, about Chris Tucker, calling him Christmas. It's a lot of shit that we don't know what's going on, man.
Well, I mean, like, everything's coming about, coming, into the public eye about Epstein. And there's just, it's hilarious. You see the news clippings where, like, people will talk about, like, all right, just because your name was in this indictment 27 times doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Well, it's like, if somebody's name was mentioned 27 times in an indictment, you would think that that would be worth pursuing or questioning that individual's character. But, who knows what the hell's going on at this point, man.
Man, it's some wild shit going on. I'm telling you what, 2024 seems like it's off to the start of where that's a lot of stuff is going to be revealed. You know what I mean?
There's levels to everything.
Right. He talked Katt was talking about Harvey Weinstein for a long time.
Who, Katt?
And he was talking. Yeah, he's talking about Michael Jackson for a long time. I mean, he has a joke in his one stand-up about how he has silk pillows and silk sheets, not because he likes silk, but the people he's trying to fuck do. And he said, Michael Jackson, he's got Ferris wheels in his backyard. That's that's the joke,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
Bombs at 1 hour 30 minutes. I love it.
Yep.
I mean, one thing I wanted to say about not only your story, Kyle, about Teddy Pendergrass, but also just about Kevin Hart as well, and maybe the mid-level entertainment that makes it where so many talented people are not making it is the power of marketing. It's the power of marketing.
Is the what?
The power of marketing. The power
Oh,
of marketing.
yeah.
The power of branding, and now aided in 2024 now with the power of algorithms. And I think with that said, I think power, greed knows no limits. I think people in power want everything. And, through the power of marketing and algorithms, mid-level entertainment can be forced upon the masses. And, things like plants absolutely are a possibility, a strong one, to say the least.
Definitely. Kelly, anything you want to add to this one? Did you see it yet? Kelly might be in.
That's one of our men in the car. We're going to give him a second. Hope he's all good.
Yeah, we'll give him a break. So I think that, like I said, that was breaking the internet. It's still breaking the internet. When I first checked on what the numbers were, they were at 26 million. It's now hitting close to like 45. Maybe by the time people watch this, it's close to maybe 50 million views just on YouTube. And now they're breaking up and chopping the videos, and they're turning those into shorts that are getting 20, 30, 40 million views on top of it. So I want to make sure I give a shout out to the team. If you guys watch one of our videos, we dubbed a couple of videos from somebody else that was talking about that. So yeah, shout out to the team, to Shannon's team for that. They're making their bonuses in that. Real quick before I guess we wrap it up, fellas. Sports thoughts. We got Belichick retiring. We have Nick Saban retired. We have Pete. Whatever Pete's doing right now, we got that going on with Pete. So we got a new Alabama head coach, sounds like. We have some openings with the Seahawks. Maybe Jim Harbaugh's in the mix. What's your initial thoughts, Steve? What you think, man? What you think about all this shit?
Still processing it, man. Pete's been here about 15 years. Being a Seahawk fan wasn't easy, man. Kyle can probably relate to it. Zach, you were born into 3 trophies, and you guys already had that.
I'm a 3-ringer, baby. I'm a 3-ringer.
That's right, baby. That's a Triple Crown winner. And growing up, man, I incurred the wrath of Cowboy fans and 49er fans, and we were always a joke. And Holmgren made it a little bit better. And then Pete came here and changed our whole shit for a better term. And I think he should have been afforded the, stepping out on his own terms for what he's done to this area, what he meant to this franchise and this fan base. And, man, he's just a special dude. Did I want a new coach? Absolutely. I would like, and I know it hurts a lot of feelings, but I would like Jim Harbaugh. That guy turned freaking Stanford, into a power football team, which is wild. So everywhere that guy goes, he wins. That's all he does. He just shows up. New program, doesn't matter if it's University of San Diego, doesn't matter if it's a 4-win 49er team he shows up to that we had just been owning, and completely transforms them. If you're listening and you're on the Vulcan board of directors with the Allen Foundation, open the Brinks truck, back it up, go get that guy, and let's just keep winning. That would be great. That's what I got on that.
Period. I know that was rough for you to even say, bro. I know it. I remember
we love you, man.
I'll never forget, man, when our first conversation after that happened, man, and you weren't sounding too great, man.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough, to talk to Pete.
Oh,
He's just a special dude, man. He's a special dude. If you're lucky to ever interact with him, you're better for it. Good guy.
Amen. Sean, you right there in Seattle, man. What's the vibe like out there, bro?
I mean, just tapping into what Steve said, people that have been a Seahawks fan for a long time, that endured Rick Meyer, that endured the Kingdom falling apart on our heads as we were playing. Pete brought a lot of change, man. I grew up in a loft apartment that we weren't supposed to be living in, is about 30 feet from the Kingdom. I was the closest building to the Kingdom, period. And I used to watch players come out of the tunnel after games. And I was really close to the Mariners and the Seahawks teams of the 90s. And man, Pete changed everything. We had some runs with Sean Alexander and Holmgren and our amazing offensive line. Shout out Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson for that run. But Pete changed everything, brought a new attitude, brought, a new regime in and gave us our first ring. We should have had two. We'll talk about that another time. But shout out Pete. He was an amazing role model for a lot of men. The positivity that he brought, the inspiration he brought through that positivity and that care and that, that lack of ego is one of the things I really look at Pete and respect, is just, man, shed his ego for the betterment of the people around him. And no, we'll miss Pete for sure. I'm excited for a new era, a new chapter. I hope that we actually go the Dan Quinn route. I think a defensive team would be amazing again. I think the clickbait of Micah Parsons following Dan Quinn over here to Seattle gets me far more excited than any other scenario right now. So, I mean, shout out Pete. Amazing guy, amazing run. Really brought us a long, run of entertainment, the best football I've ever seen in person, in our first Super Bowl ring. So shout out Pete. I commiserate with you, Steve. I'm looking forward to a new era though as well. Shed our tears, move on, and let's go Hawks. I'm hoping for better than 9-8 for the first time in a couple years next year.
There you go. Kyle, I mean, your thoughts on Pete as well, but also what do you think about all of these Mount Rushmores being crafted from just this 2024 year? Everybody's hanging it up or starting anew.
Yeah, I think that college sports is a changing of the guard. I think that at this point, the way college sports is evolving, it's not just about being a good coach and being a good recruiter. You now have this NIL aspect that's going to be a really difficult thing to manage. So I know that I'm from Philadelphia. Jay Wright, when he retired, that was a pretty big shock to people. Nick Saban retiring. I think Belichick is going to coach again, and I do think Pete Carroll is going to coach again. I think that the funny thing that me and Zach were talking about earlier this week was the NFL is like the WWE at this point. Every one of these playoff games has about a 12-month storyline that's baked into it. And I find it wildly interesting that we got the matchups we did. I mean, you have, the Houston Texans versus Cleveland Browns, where you have, the story of Deshaun Watson. You got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs, the story of Tyreek Hill. Packers versus the Cowboys, McCarthy versus his old team. Rams versus the Lions, Goff versus his former team. It's just almost seems like it's incredible that it lined up this way. And, it's going to be an exciting weekend. And, I love Pete Carroll. I think that Pete Carroll is, absolute legend. What he did at USC was phenomenal. What he did with the Seahawks was phenomenal. And I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him as an LA Charger head coach next year back in Los Angeles, enjoying the nice warm weather again.
Hey, there's your
hot
future
take
bet.
right there.
All you listeners, there's your future bet right there. Pete Carroll as a Charger head coach. Just my
Makes too much sense. Makes too much sense, man.
That's a great take. Yeah, I was talking to Steve about the same thing, man. He was like, yeah, I could see that happening from his USC past, just coming right down there and just transitioning. I think he would look better down there just overall than Bill Belichick would. Yeah. There's a lot of, or Jim Harbaugh. So, Super Bowl, who do you guys have as your Super Bowl winner, or who do you have as your two teams real quick? I'm kind of curious to see why before the playoffs start. So that way there's no, we ain't jumping on no bandwagons. We already know where everybody stands and who we think is going to be hoisting up that Lombardi. Who do you think, Sean?
Baltimore, baby.
All right.
Baltimore,
That's
baby.
a good one. That's
I
a good
love
one. That's a
you
good
know,
one.
always been a fan. Like before I had loyalty to the Hawks, before I really knew how important it was to. I mean, I also think it's cool to like multiple teams, but when it comes to fandom, I think it's important to have a favorite, and the Seahawks are mine. But I was always a fan of the bird teams. I love the Atlanta Hawks with Michael Vick. I love the Philadelphia Eagles with, I mean, a little bit of Randall. Mostly that was a legend to me, but Donovan McNabb, my favorite wide receiver ever, Terrell Owens. And I've loved the Ravens with people like Ray Lewis. I mean, the running back, Jamal, whatever his last name was it Lewis as well?
Lewis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I've been a big fan of these teams for a long time. Ed Reed, come on. But I'm a huge fan of Lamar. I'm a huge fan of people that have been told that they can't do something that they're doing day in, day out. I'm a huge fan of motivation, especially when it comes from deep within. And I just like the story. And I don't like the 49ers. And that's my other team that I think is going to make the finals. And so I hope that Lamar beats the shit out of them in the finals and shows them, you know, what it means to have a real quarterback behind the helm.
Well fucking said. Well fucking said. Oh, what about you, man? Who you have?
I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to make a
Your
run in the
Now
AFC.
your team is still in this on the NFC now.
Right. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean, dude, if the Eagles weren't in the playoffs, I'd tell you they're going to win the Super Bowl. So, you know, you already know my answer for the NFC.
Same.
There.
Yeah. So, I think it's going to be the Bills and the Eagles. I think that everybody's counted the Eagles out. You know, the year they won the Super Bowl, it was ugly the last 3 weeks of the season when Carson Wentz got hurt. They put Nick Foles in. So I could see something like that happening for the Eagles. Obviously, you know, I could also see them completely shit in the bed like they have for the last month. But I'm going to go Bills, Eagles. The Bills have been playing playoff football for the last 5 weeks.
Yep.
So I think that they're ready to, you know, take a run in this tournament here.
Yep.
You're picking the Bills over the Eagles? Did I hear that right?
No. Bills and Eagles. Eagles win the Super Bowl, and I'll be at the game in Vegas.
Eagles
Yeah.
are making it
Down
out of
there.
the first round.
We'll all
I'll
be
see
in the
you
game
down
in Vegas, goddammit.
Yeah.
I gotta
Steve,
talk
who
some
who
trash.
who you got, Steve? Real quick, who you got, man?
Oh man, nobody's beating the Ravens. If they're completely healthy with that power running game, they manhandled the 49ers, which was shocking to me in their house. Came in, kissed their wife on the mouth, took a dump, and dipped on them. There's
Fix the sandwich.
that's right. There's nobody beating the
Wore his
man,
sweatpants
the
outside.
Ravens. That is just a thug that shit out kind of team, and I don't
Yeah.
see anybody if they're healthy.
He
The
said
one
he
wild
ate the
card I think
kids'
is
fruit
Cleveland.
snacks.
Yeah, man, Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I think they have the best shot in the AFC to beat them because they have a defense that can neutralize Lamar to an extent. And we'll see what Flacco thinks of that if he gets to be able to get matched up against the Ravens and gets to go home and play spoiler. I think that'll be interesting. But no, man, I don't see anybody beating them. I see the Niners making it there, and then I see them just getting bodied.
Yeah. Hot take before Matt goes. I don't think the Browns make it out of this weekend.
Okay,
Yeah, I was talking to Colin about that earlier too. Yeah,
okay.
I think the rookie
I'll
might
take
get
that
it.
bet. I'll
Let's
take
try.
that bet right now.
Let's go, Stroud. I might eat my words, but
Matthew, what's up with you? What you think, bro? Who you got?
Oh man, I like Kyle's pick of Bills versus Eagles. I mean, I think the Eagles are gonna turn it on in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts is a stud. They're too talented not to. I mean, do they have injuries or something? Like, what's the deal?
They had injuries at the end of the year in their defensive backfield. Darius Slay's back. Bradbury's back. Like I mentioned jokingly on earlier, they have Matt Patricia, who I think is a notorious loser as a defensive coordinator right now. Hopefully they don't, they go back to the old guard, and I think their original defensive coordinator, I think it was Johnson. But yeah. They just they lost their mojo for a little bit, and when people count you out in the NFL, that's when you make the best run, in my opinion.
yep.
Do they have Jalen Carter? Is he still?
They have Jalen Carter. Yeah, Jalen Carter was the front runner to win defensive player of the year. Defensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Fell off the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, their defensive scheme has been terrible.
Yeah.
They've caught themselves breaking down film, someone that I watched a couple different shows that were showing. I was telling Zach they had moments where they're 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they're running zone defense instead of man to man. So really making some egregious mistakes in terms of coaching, which hopefully can get cleaned up before they go into this playoff game on Monday night.
Yeah.
Who are they playing?
They're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh,
got
they're gonna
layup,
smash Bucks. The
And
Bucks.
Baker
layup.
Mayfield, baby. Look up the stats. Baker's got way better year than Jalen. No offense.
Baker's terrible.
All right.
Terrible. He's
Terrible.
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 Come on, man.
So you going with the Eagles
Hold
then,
on.
huh, Matt?
I think the
Hold on,
Super
hold
Bowl
on.
is going to be the NFC Championship. I think that's the NFC champion is going to win the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be Niners versus Eagles.
Okay.
In the NFC Championship, and then whoever wins that wins.
And I think the person who wins the NFC Championship takes the Super Bowl this year.
Woo.
I like it.
I'm going with what you call it? The Chiefs. You guys forgot about them, and I think that defense
Raiders
is going to
beat the
be enough
Chiefs.
to.
We smacked them.
Look how painful it is for me to say this, man. You know what I'm saying? So I say that with a heavy, heavy heart that I think that Patrick Mahomes, all the stuff that they were going through, I think that they're going to turn it on. I have two teams that I think, are probably the dark horse in the NFC if the Niners don't make it, but I just can't root for the Cowboys. The Packers did they win the NFC East or the North?
Bring them up. Don't even bring
the
up
Packers?
the Cowboys.
Packers
Oh,
are in
no.
the playoffs.
No. The Cowboys won the NFC East.
Yeah. So who won the North? Who's up there in the North that won? It was the Lions. It was the Lions.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Detroit.
Lions.
Mm-hmm.
They're nice.
Man.
I like Detroit, man.
Ooh, I didn't think about Detroit. I love Detroit.
Yeah.
They're not
Hey,
winning.
Yeah.
the Rams are no
Stop it.
joke. I think Stafford's about to go in there and take their lunch.
I like
I just
that.
don't know. I want to say it's going to be the winner of that matchup right there. I think they're going to go on a big ass
nice.
run. It's going to be Aaron Donald's last stand. It's going to be in LA, or LA is going to be in Vegas. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a home crowd for Aaron Donald on his way out, and I think that the Rams are going to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Wow. That's a hot take, man.
That's my
Woo.
take.
Sizzle.
I'm gonna be eating my worst this weekend
Hey.
for damn sure.
Yo.
Hey, man,
real quick.
I know what you're doing, bro. I know what you're doing. You're trying to make that Raider W look a little bit better by picking the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And trying to make
You
that
motherfucking right, baby. Nobody else, baby. Hey, Russ whooped that ass too, though. So I mean, I don't know. I can't.
I don't know how we lose 3-0 to the Vikings and then beat the Chargers by like 40 and then the Chiefs by like 25.
Bro, we were the most bipolar team in sports history last season.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey, I think that's
Oh,
good. I think that just shows flashes of what Pierce can bring, though. I think you guys are set up for a fun
If
couple.
he stays around,
Did they
there's
give
talk.
Pierce the head
There's
coach
talk.
position? Did they actually give it to him?
No, there's some rumors though. There's some rumors, bro. Some rumors are spurred about. So we already have Tom Brady as the whatever he is. I don't know. He's the owner / not owner. He's also
Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's
Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady. And he's wearing silver and black.
Wait, Tom
There's a
Brady's a
rumor.
Raider now? I don't know how I feel about that. I've hated Tom Brady since 2001, and I don't know how I feel about him being a Raider now.
He's an
Well,
owner, bro.
It
He's an
can get even crazier. Check this out. So now they're saying that Tom Brady is going to marry up with with Bill Belichick and have Nick Saban coming in as his homie to be the D coordinator
Sign me up.
/ assistant head coach.
Stop it. Stop.
Sign me up.
Deep state.
Sign me up.
That is
And then Pete Carroll's gonna come over and play defensive back.
Angry old men, grumpy old
Yo,
men.
Pete Carroll runs a 4.3 40 right
Yeah.
now. I saw it
Yeah,
last week.
right
Yeah, we're
now.
gonna sign
Cat
Katt
Williams
Williams.
at running back, and we'll be good.
Taking
Yeah,
Pete
come
over
on.
Cat.
Man,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
all day, all day.
Does,
Well, fellas,
did Tom Brady really buy into the Raiders?
well, so here's
He
the
was
deal.
gifted.
Yeah, he was given a very low or very high discount on the valuation of his points that he was going to receive. Like he was going to get a little. Oh, there you go. You go taking it
There you
down.
go. It's
Yeah,
that time,
take
baby.
that. Yeah,
It's
take
about
that
that
shit near the
time.
end because you take that shit for the show start, and you be out here like Katt Williams. And we'll get to that in just a second. We're gonna give you a second to talk about that before we get up out of there. I got something for you, Steve. But yeah, man. So he got a low or they lowballed him on his valuation, so he got basically a hometown discount to be able to buy a piece of it, and everybody in the NFL was like fucking tripping. They were just flipping out about it. So
Whatever.
yeah.
They ain't gonna do shit.
Well, fellas, we're hitting that mark right there. We're gonna go ahead and probably get ready to cut it short. So I want to make sure everybody get their time to give their shout outs, or if somebody hooked you up this week, you got to be able to represent their brand or any good weed that you might have smoked on. Let's do Matt, our brand new I guess not guest, but our brand new partner to the show. Matt, where can people find you? If you want them to find you, it's always optional. We can say, fuck off. I don't want you to find me nowhere right here. Other people can say, hey, man, here's my social security, whatever you want to do. But how you want people to find you, if you want them to, any shout outs you got to give. And floor is yours, my friend.
I guess you can find me on social media under my name and an underscore at the end. And during this show, I took 2 dabs, one of which was this Super Boof by Real Deal Resin and Guru Cannabis. And the other one was the Super Boof Melt by Trichome Tortoise. So nice work. And then, cozy cubes, so I sleep well tonight.
You're really good at that, Matt. Like, you need to be like the next dude for Reading Rainbow. Like, that was some LeVar Burton shit, bro. That was pretty
That was
freaking good,
beautiful.
man.
That was gorgeous.
That was
Gorgeous.
that was nice, bro.
Wow.
That was nice. Kyle, how about you, my friend? Thank you for the insights on the Teddy P story. You got any lasting stories that you want to leave us with again?
Oh man, I think I gotta save it for the next one. No, I have a blast doing this, guys. I really do. I enjoy everybody on this, like everyone that joins the show.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm in LA. I barely get a chance to chop it up with a group of guys about sports and have as much fun as I do on this podcast. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. My business is at Finished Goods with an underscore at the end. We help people with packaging, vaporizer products, and man, thank you for letting me be a part of it. I really enjoy spending time with everybody on here.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Your takes on everything is always phenomenal, man. Appreciate your thoughts and wisdom and being on the show, and you join as well as any time, man. So it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Sean, how about you, man? Any parting thoughts? Anything that you need to get off your chest or give a shout out to? What you got, my friend?
I mean, we got it all off our chest today. I think this was a great show. Appreciate everybody being here. I mean, we dipped our toes into a couple things we might need to keep revisiting throughout the next couple episodes. I think Katt Williams and Shannon Sharp are going to be something we talk about for the next couple episodes for sure. I love that we all made sports picks today. I mean, you guys that are watching right now live or in the recap, I mean, go ahead and line up with whoever you're agreeing with and let's see who can take it this year. I think we have some very interesting theories. Zach with the curveball at the end, but I like it. I mean, it's a huge year. Cannabis wise, I think it's really cool that Matt's smoking on some Super Boof. I'm smoking on that same flower myself. So just a shout out to whoever it was that put that genetics together. I think it's the year of the boof for lack of a better term. I'm not the biggest fan of the name, but man, the weed is fire. So appreciate you guys. We got Saturday football, Sunday football, and I think, do we have a Monday game?
Monday night is the Eagles game.
Let's go.
Yes. All right.
Come on. Appreciate you guys. No, this was fun.
Love it, brother. Love it, man. Appreciate you. Your insights again. Always phenomenal. Like with Kyle and Matt, man, as always, man, it was good to have you back. It's been a while, so I know you were traveling, so it's always good to see our brother on the show. And like I said, man, it's not a full show without everybody on it. Also, before we get to you, Steve, just wanted to give a shout out to Kelly, Mocha Magic. He had to get off of the show for a little bit, but my man's probably pretty busy right now, so wanted to thank him before we moved on as well too for his participation. Always been a good co-host as well with me, and yeah, hopefully he's having a good night as well too. I'll give him a call later on, and then that gives me to that brings us to Steve, man. What's good, bro?
Man, I'm just nerding out, bro. I'm gonna wait to ask that question, that I had on the next pod if we're lucky to have everybody assembled. But it's kind of like Kyle was saying, and I know what you guys do business wise and revenue wise, and it's cool to be on this panel with you guys with some other killers. And if you want to find me, you can find me on this show, or you can find me with my shine box in Kyle's driveway. So that's where you'll find me, my friends.
There you go.
That's right.
Well, I tell you what, man, if I don't really have too many shout outs or anything like that. I think it was a very productive week in the world of cannabis. Want to give a shout out to all of the press that reported on all these great topics. Yep. It's always good to see that people are talking about cannabis nowadays, because you look back 15 years ago, I mean, damn near 10 years ago, they would get banned for even talking about this type of stuff. So yeah, so shout out to all of those journalists that are putting the real stuff out there. If you see, we don't usually talk about crime and people getting arrested or getting in trouble for stuff unless it's a recall. Like to keep it on the positive note, and there's tons of stuff out there that we can discuss. And want to show appreciation to all you guys for joining us again. Like I said, this is therapy damn near for all of us. I truly do believe, and hopefully you guys all enjoying the communication that we have, and hopefully we can keep on building on this in the future. And yeah, man, again, the coaches, the coaching staff, salute to Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban. It wouldn't be right if we wouldn't, end it with a salute to you guys, and for all the great moments that I've had over eating turkey dinners and, Monday night footballs and Sunday mornings and stuff, watching you guys be excellent, so we'll be missed if you guys don't continue on. But other than that, make sure you guys are smoking weed and drinking water, hydrating, and we'll end it with the video.
Let's say it again. Somebody roll the weed. It's my song. I wanna get higher than the somebody roll the weed. I wanna get higher than a motherfucker. Hear me again. Somebody roll the weed. I wanna get higher than a motherfucker. Can you tell me what you wanna get? I wanna get high.
Peace, y'all.